these noms.
I haven't even seen them.
Nom, 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 nom. Oh,
Yeah.
you haven't seen them? We should go over them right now then.
Let's
Why
let's
not?
warm up. Let's go over them right now. So the Twitter controversy, because I have to fill you guys in, is that Barbie fans, all of whom are like 14 years old, are mad because Barbie didn't get enough nominations, even though it got like 8, which is already ridiculous.
It didn't get Best Actress.
Right. It didn't get Best Actress for Margot Robbie nor Director for Greta Gerwig. So people are mad, and people are saying like, Barbie was this like feminist masterpiece, but it only got nominated for the Ken song about men. And it's like, and people are posting, like angry Taylor Swift lyrics and stuff about it. And it's like, dude, it's about like a $1 billion toy company, and it got 8 Oscar nominations, which is already ridiculous. That movie was just not that good. It was fine, but like
8
fine.
Oscars?
Yes,
That's so crazy.
I know, it really is. Ryan Gosling, actor for Barbie. Barbie also got, and people are, this is a little bit of controversy, Best Adapted Screenplay.
Adapted from what?
That's
The
what people are
story of
saying.
Barbie?
It's based on Barbie. Now, May December got Best Original Screenplay, which is cool, but I would have
But that's
really
also
liked to
based
see.
on a that is based on a story as much as Barbie is based on a
That's a really good point.
like May December is based on what
A real life event.
A real
Yeah,
life
it's
event. How can you say that is any less adapted from something than based on a real life toy?
Yes.
What are the rules here?
But there are no rules. Apparently, the mask is slipping from society's face.
The mask is off and the mask is slipping. Sadly, Turtles did not get the Best Animated Feature Film nominee, which is a shame because
What the hell?
a lot of my good
What?
friends.
What are the 5 other movies were better than that?
Well, Spider-Verse got a nom, and so did The Boy and the Heron.
Okay, but there's 3 other movies.
Well, there's one called Robot Dreams, which literally no one has heard of.
Okay.
And it's like kind of weird that
So
like
somebody's fucking and sucking their way into that.
Speaking, another Twitter controversy was that there's a film that actually I guess it has Jodie Foster in it. But it's called Naiad, and like no one's heard of it.
I never
That's
heard
nominated. Yes, it's like people are talking about how every year recently the Oscars has to pick like one film that nobody saw.
Yeah.
Not even like that it's obscure. It's just like a movie that doesn't seem to exist. I'm just gonna read all the Best Picture noms. American Fiction. I don't know that. I don't know what that is. Anatomy of a Fall. Barbie. The Holdovers. Killers of the Flower Moon. Maestro. Oppenheimer. Past Lives. Poor Things. The Zone of Interest.
Wow. I only saw Barbie.
I saw Poor Things.
I saw Poor
And
Things this past weekend.
It was fine. It was good.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fun.
I'm interested in some of those.
May December should be Best Picture.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I've seen 5 films this entire year. One of them was Saltburn. Of all the 5 films I've seen, May December, far and away the Best Picture. So good. Like the only film I saw all year that had me like on the edge of my seat the whole time. I was like, what could happen next? So
Nice.
that one, the way I was sad that Tar got see, I'm a certain type of gay guy. Okay, last year we liked Tar. This year we liked May December. That's how our tribe votes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm not going to pretend I have like an original point of view. No, I fit in with a very particular tribe of extremely online gay guy, and that's the movies we want. And we've been snubbed and denied year after year.
Gay Mafia.
Yes.
Rising
Wow.
up.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. None of my favorites that I watched from 2023 were
What's your best
up
picture?
for
Scott?
anything of 2023.
Yeah.
Let's see. I liked that Gwen Shamblin movie, Starving for Salvation.
Yes.
That didn't even win. That didn't even win the Golden Calf.
I know. Yeah, but I'm just
Oh wait,
looking
I
at
guess
the
that was
things now.
that was just the movies we watched this year, not necessarily
Well,
the movies that
technically,
came
it
out
could have been
this year.
nominated. It wasn't nominated because it wasn't technically like a Christian spiritual film, although it was for a Golden Calf. Although it was purely by film quality, absolutely one of the best ones we watched.
Okay.
But I agree. If a Netflix movie can get nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, why can't Gwen Shamblin Starving for Salvation get nominated?
Right.
What was the Netflix movie?
Apparently Naiad was, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Huh.
Okay.
What else? She is Conan. That was pretty good. I liked that.
Can't say I've heard of that one, Scott.
It was with released on the festival circuit last year.
She's so Conan.
Yeah. Bottoms, I liked a lot. It made me laugh.
Oh, okay.
Variant 2, Joe Meredith's Variant 2.
Variant 2, Joe Meredith snubbed again at the Oscars this year.
Unbelievable.
This is really sad. He's always in the consideration. I got Variant on my
I'm
bookshelf.
looking at your copy of Variant right now.
Julian's pointing at my Variant.
Do the judges for the Oscars even know what Big Cartel is? Where are they buying movies from?
I agree. I think there's another cartel that's influencing
Interesting.
what's going on at the Oscars. And it's not the big cartel. That's all I'll say.
Very interesting.
Very interesting.
How do you get to vote on these things?
Is it like the Grammys where like basically anyone can vote if you just fill out a form?
I think so. I'm pretty sure that's how it is. Like
I want to be in the Academy. We're film critics.
Yeah, I don't. It's just not, a very fresh take, but I don't know why people put any stock in Academy Award nominations. It's literally like
if you look at
if you work in the film industry for one weekend, you are like, this is where people who cannot do a job in any other cannot hold down a functional job anywhere in society go to excel and be revered.
Yeah, it's sort of like how actors in the past were lower than prostitutes. It's kind of like that now.
Is this like where rich people send their like drug addicted nephews to go get a job?
Yeah,
to make these decisions.
I will say it was great that Variant 2 got a Best Original Song nomination for the theme song.
Oh, that's good.
Variant 2.
Yeah, but the female lead and female director did not get nominated.
That was very sad. That was very sad.
I would say just by process of elimination, Barbie is my best picture. It's, I think, the only movie that I saw. Well, where's John Wick 4 on this?
Sadly, deeply snubbed. Not on the form whatsoever.
Wow. Should be on there twice. That's like 2 movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is one movie in there that is extremely boring, where people just talk in one room and say the same conversation over and over again.
Chamber drama.
Yeah. And then there's another movie that's awesome and kicks ass.
Wow.
I just meant because it's like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Trim the fat, people. Come on.
Hey, you get on the wrong side of John Wick, he'll be trimming the fat on you real quick.
Yeah.
I saw Saltburn.
Yes, so did I.
I saw...
Should have been on the list.
Megan.
Didn't see Megan.
Did that come out last year?
I think Jacob Elordi should get a lifetime of 2023 achievement award. Because that MF was working his little tushy off all year. He should get a lifetime. He should get a 1-year achievement award.
He should play Jay Leno in the Jay Leno movie. That chin of his.
There's a scene where Jay Leno jacks off in the bathtub.
Oh yeah.
Jimmy Kimmel watching Jay Leno through the door, the crack in the door as Jay Leno's jacking off in the tub. Well, boys, we have a lot to cover spiritually and thematically on this episode. I kind of feel like we should start the show.
You're right. What are we getting in the weeds with the Oscars for?
No, it's a good warm up. It's a good warm up.
You're right.
Gets us,
gets the audience pumped.
Yeah, and also, we just need a couple minutes to like remember each other's names and stuff like that.
That's true.
Like, there's always like, I'm always waiting for Julian to like say Scott's name so I remember who we're talking to.
That's like when you introduce someone to someone.
I just did that. Yeah.
You introduce a new person to someone you know, and you say, "This is my friend," and you say the person you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's like this is human 101.
Yeah,
you got to be doing that. Well, surprise! Welcome back to an unexpected boys' Bible study. As always, and I know you might be a bit startled to see us, but as always, I'm Ash, here with my co-hosts.
Scott.
Julia.
Ah! Ooh, sorry, just didn't really see you there.
Unexpected co-host.
Yeah. And we are back with another banger. Honestly, one of the most thematically complex films we've ever watched. And we have a lot of material to cover. And it's very exciting. But this week we are covering The Unexpected Bar Mitzvah, which I'm just going to come off right off the bat and say that this is yet another film directed by two people who have become like boys Bible study superstars in the past, 2 years or so since we became, involved in reviewing their catalog. Co-directed by Chip Rossetti and co-directed, written, and co-starring Donald James Parker, a.k.a. Gramps of Goes to College fame. So if you're a faithful listener to the show, right off the bat, you hear those words, you know you're in for the ride of your life. And if you don't feel like watching the movie yourself, or if you do, and you just want to hear some more, we are here to review it for you today. This is The Unexpected Bar Mitzvah, y'all.
Woo.
Probably the most anti-Semitic movie we've watched, and still one of the most accurate depictions of Jewish people that we've ever seen on our podcast.
This is one of the foundational tensions at the core of The Unexpected Bar Mitzvah, one which is actually played out by the characters themselves, which is that it is so anti-Semitic, but it's also clearly Donald and, the writer insert character of him in the film is a huge weeb for Judaism.
Yes.
It's that this movie really defines that aspect of fandom when you get so into something that the way you talk about it is deeply offensive to the thing that you're covering. You're like an expert, but you're also like a demon.
None of the actors who played any of the Jewish people in this film are actually Jewish. I
don't think so.
No, that might come as a surprise. I looked them up. The mom and dad, at least, were evangelical Christians.
Wow.
Who work at they're married in real life, and they work at
good.
like Christian acting camps and acting.
That's
movies.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's so great to like get a woman named like, I don't know, named like Trisha in the room and have her like get in front of the camera and go, "Oi, Gewalt."
That was so crazy.
What is her name? Actually?
There was that part where he was like exasperated and he just yelled, "Oi vey!"
Oh, I believe those were the Swingles. That's their name.
Yes.
And the guy was in Mayflower
Swingles.
too.
Yep.
What?
The Swingles.
Did you see this? The man who plays Mr. Maslow,
Mika Maslow.
Maslow,
Maslow.
which is like literally if you went to like
Abraham Maslow.
JewishNameGenerator.com.
Yeah.
Okay, Rich Swingle, who stars as Micah Maslow, who wears a yarmulke the whole film, is literally in Mayflower 2.
That's incredible.
Which I was like, I clicked on the actors. I wasn't really expecting to see much crossover other than maybe other like Chip Rossetti movies. And then I was like, what the fuck is this? How did this guy get in with the Lamamans? Like they must all, well, the Lamamans are Canadian.
Yeah, this
I
guy's
just don't understand.
fucking travel.
Maybe you said they're like Christian actor, like their thing is like being Christian actors.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting from.
So maybe they just get off on it. Like they want to fly around the North America and be in Christian films. I don't know, just speculating.
I think so. I mean, you'd think that the pool for actors would be bigger.
Yeah.
than it is, apparently. Or they just saw him in this film and were blown away by his...
Well, I just want to say
it's like watching a different person, a completely different person.
He really, it's kind of like a Best Picture nominee Maestro, where they put the big prosthetic Jewish nose on him and he just transformed into a completely different person. I will say you need to be fully immersed in the Christian acting pool. You cannot just be sprinkled with the water from it. Okay. If you're going to be baptized in the Christian acting pool. More on this later in our discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the Unexpected Bar Mitzvah. This is another Chip Rossetti, Christian film director who frequently directs the projects that are written by Donald James Parker and star him. So I don't fully understand, their lives and working relationship, but it seems like Chip rightfully thinks that Donald James Parker is like the genius of our times and just sees him and is like, I want to make your vision into a reality. And he did it again with the Unexpected Bar Mitzvah. How does this compare to the other Donald films in its substance and its quality? What do you think?
I think this might be my favorite of his.
Yeah. It might be mine as well.
I was going to say, like writing wise, it's the best one. Like even I'm glad we started with the Oscars now because like none of those fucking movies on that list were as willing to get into the weeds and get out of the weeds as Donald James Parker is with this movie.
Yes.
Like stuff is so fleshed. Like I saw Poor Things this past weekend and occasionally they would bring up like a big grand idea about that has to do with like everyday life, and they would like just look over to the side and like move on to the next thing. Like it was so like surface, Like, it was fun, but like it's so surface. And this is like, oh, you want to get into the ins and outs of why speaking in tongues is okay or not okay? We will bring it up repeatedly until we get to the bottom of this.
Yes. Yeah, I think this movie may have been Donald's most successful film. Gramps Go to College might edge it out for me, but here's what might make this one the best quality overall. One, Donald had the restraint to only cast himself as a supporting star in like the third act of the film rather than being the leading man, which gets infuriating after a while. Secondly, in Gramps Goes to College, Donald, every single sentence that Donald writes is just like a weird idiom or saying that he stole from like Poor Richard's Almanac.
Yeah.
This film, he actually wrote in coherent sentences that like one would respond to the next one. It actually like told a story through the writing. He showed a lot of restraints. So somehow in this film that was also maybe the most anti-Semitic film we've ever watched. It still demonstrated an uncharacteristic level of restraint. Yeah. Sorry.
I was gonna say, should we go into the plot? But
yeah, I think we should. I guess the only other thing I wanted to add was that a comparison I thought watching this was that this film does kind of remind me of Alongside Night, the libertarian film that we watched. And the only reason I say that is because both of those films have a reading list associated with them.
Yeah.
Like the entirety of the Unexpected Bar Mitzvah is just characters reading books and like recommending books to each other.
Yeah.
Making it almost seem like you have to read these to fully get the film.
Then they're reading the books and then like 2 scenes later discussing the books. It happens multiple times.
It's so funny to just like, clearly these are just the books that Donald James Parker was reading when he wrote this movie.
Yeah.
Like it's very funny to just know that, like, have this little snapshot of his life.
Oh yeah.
Where he clearly read 10 Amazing Jews. Real book, by the way. And then was like, I need to tell the world about this book in the only way I know how, which is to write a movie about it.
Yes. I will say that before we get into the plot of the film, a lot of the books that are referenced in the film are written by a guy called Sid Roth. Do you guys know much about him?
No.
Sid Roth, I don't really know anything about him, but he seems like his big show was called Sid Roth's It's Supernatural. And it was like a Christian network television show in the 90s that had like a couple hundred episodes.
There's a lot of them on YouTube now.
It was on TBN.
Episodes.
It was on TBN. Apparently it says on Wikipedia, it says 96 to present. So
Still going strong.
I guess so. So I guess Sid Roth is just like a televangelist, prolific author, and TV presenter. But Donald, who gets really fucking particular about the thinkers that he admires, he is really into some obscure shit, Donald. Like way more theologically specific than a lot of the filmmakers we watch. But he seems to think Sid Roth is like a brilliant thinker because he trusts Sid Roth to write books such as, what is it, 10 Amazing Jews?
It's
10 Amazing Jews. They thought for themselves.
I'm on Sid Roth's website right now, and he has something called Middle East TV Network. Go check that out.
Exotic.
ETV. I see that on the tuner all the time.
Yeah.
Sid Roth, his headshot kind of looks like the guy from Heaven's Gate. I can't remember what his like Heaven's Gate name was. Marshall Applewhite, also known as Doe or Do. I can't remember how they called it. Yeah, Doe. Right. I remember this from the Heaven's Gate documentary. He looks just like him. I mean, look at this.
How many people were in Heaven's Gate?
Not a lot. It wasn't a huge cult. It was like,
And they all died?
yes.
Yeah, that's so sad.
Yeah. Well, in
Sad that they were right and they no one else
I know.
urged to join.
Sad that more people didn't join them.
yeah. After watching the Unexpected Bar Mitzvah, I'm starting to learn that one of the motifs of the film is that you need to be as specific as possible with the way you worship,
Yes.
or you're not doing it right. So I now have way more respect for people with like just some insanely narrow perspective on what it means to worship God, and that they literally might be the only ones who are right.
I know. I feel like this is going to be our year for that after the final battle last week.
Right.
And then this.
Well, you know what? I actually wanted to say, we've been really knocking out these fucking New Year's resolutions because on our Golden Calf Awards episode, on our 4-year anniversary episode, which also was like our New Year's episode, we made 2 New Year's resolutions. We said we were going to cover Seventh-day Adventists. Bam, done. The final battle. Then we said we were going to cover Messianic Jews. And although an Unexpected Bar Mitzvah is a different kind of Messianic Jewish theology from our favorite tunnel digging Jews who we know and love in New York City, the Chabad Messianists. They're a different kind of messianistic Jew. Jesus is not the Messiah in that aspect of messianistic Judaism. Unexpected Bar Mitzvah deals heavily with a messianic Jewish practice that acknowledges Jesus as the Messiah of the Old Testament, similar to Christianity. That's like the main theme of the film.
Yeah.
So, quite a lot of dense religious material in this insane film that also had like a million laugh out loud quotable moments. Every time we watch a Donald film, it's the longest my notes ever get because there's so many lines I want to write down. So yeah, let's get into it. At the risk of this intense plot being a bit tedious, I definitely think we should let people know what's going on in this as a springboard to our like spiritual discussions of what this film is about.
Well, in more timely fashion, we start out in a living room and people are watching football.
Okay. I have a question about this.
Yes.
What year do you think this movie came out? Because it definitely did not come out in 2015, as it said on the YouTube and IMDb page.
Well, maybe 2015 was like its to be re-release or something.
Maybe.
Or maybe it's a period piece.
Could be. I only say this because, well, the thing is, all right, there is a lot of talk about Tim Tebow.
Yes.
At the start of this, which at the time kind of made sense. I'm sure he was a big deal for Christians.
He was.
Right. He was.
People talked about him.
To the non-believers, he was a bit of a fraud.
Sure.
On the field. And the non-believers were validated by the fact that he was out of the NFL in about 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So whatever God was doing, not even God had enough strength to keep Tim Tebow in the NFL for more than 3 seasons.
But Dad, why would God allow something like that to happen to Tim Tebow? Just kidding.
But yeah, that is why I'm like, why would you like go back and why would you write about this in the past? I feel like this movie was made at the height of his. He also only played for the Broncos for like a season and a half. Like,
what a specific period piece.
So this had to have been made in such a small time frame, or it was written at that time and they just like committed to it because he was such like an outspoken Christian.
That could be, because that would have been like what, 2011, 2000.
Yeah. I'm trying to. Okay, he played. Yeah, the only season he was with the Broncos was from 2010 to 11. Scott, so you're dead on.
Yeah, he was very decorated in college,
right?
But they're talking about his professional NFL career.
Yes, and it's the Broncos specifically. So my theory is that it was released in 2015, and it's a very specific period piece about, the early 2011.
It's like in Saltburn when they watch they watch Superbad.
Yeah, and they're
The
like,
Ring.
as if there's like a neon sign that says 2006, point to the film. However, the fun thing about Saltburn was that the very specific points of reference were like wrong 50% of the time.
Yeah,
like, they made
half
such
the music wasn't even out yet that was played, and
Cool.
yeah, they were watching The Ring, which came out like 5 years before.
Yes, it was just so funny because they made such a big deal that they were using these very specific culture references. That was like half of the film.
Yeah.
But then if you actually like tabulated it, it was like 50% of it was just wrong. It didn't make any sense.
It was also just an excuse to not have cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
If you're writing a movie and you can't figure out a way to work around the fact that people have cell phones and can talk to each other all the time.
Yeah.
You just have to set it in like 2006.
Yeah, play an Arcade Fire song and be like, oh, this is fun. By the way, this is hilarious if you're an Arcade Fire stan. The version of No Cars Go that they play in the film is not the one from the EP that came out in the early 2000s. It's the one that came out in Neon Bible in the late 2000s. Yet another inaccuracy in the film. That version of No Cars Go that was played in the movie, wrong.
Is No Cars Go on Neon Bible?
It's on Neon Bible, and it's also on. It was on the first Arcade Fire EP from 2003.
Wow. Yeah. Here we
was Neon Bible. What, 2009?
Revoke my Pitchfork card. I thought it was on Funeral.
It was not. That I know Funeral extremely well. That was one of my favorite albums at the time.
Yeah,
it was not. But you know what song? A song that was on Funeral that's very appropriate to our current times. Neighborhood Number 1, Tunnels.
I think I know which neighborhood they were talking about.
Dig a tunnel from my synagogue to yours.
All right, so we're still in the first 4 minutes of the movie.
This movie was fucking insane.
It was.
But yes, the movie starts off with so much discussion of Tim Tebow. The film almost seems like it's going to be entirely about Tim Tebow, but it's not.
In two separate households, we see two 12-year-old boys talking about Tim Tebow. In one of them, it's a semi-normal conversation. Yeah. A Christian dad and his son. In another one, it's a really belabored conversation between a Jewish father and his son.
A man in a yarmulke with the furrowed brow going, "You do not say that name in my house."
And Christians have hated us because supposedly we killed their Christ. Well, I don't think Tim Tebow hates us. It doesn't seem like he does.
I told you I don't want you to use that name in this house again.
About Tim Tebow.
About Tim
Literal
Tebow.
line from the movie. Julian, as our Jewish consultant, were you or were you not forbidden from discussing Tim Tebow in your house?
I had fortunately moved out by the time. Yeah.
You dodged a bullet, my friend.
I did. I got to say Tim Tebow all I wanted.
Spinning around.
It's different when Christians say it to each other is the thing. Yeah.
Turning off the lights and spinning around in front of the mirror saying Tim Tebow, Tim Tebow, Tim Tebow. Yes.
In my house, if I had said Tim Tebow, I don't think anyone would know who I was talking about.
Interesting. So. There is a line I wrote down directly from the film. I do believe God has anointed Tim Tebow to get the attention of boys like you.
I do believe God has anointed Tim Tebow to bring his name into a national spotlight and to attract attention of boys like you.
He certainly has my attention.
Yeah.
That is, I believe, a direct line from the film.
It's so crazy to think he had like 4 good games. And it's so funny because the kid is like, do you think God is helping Tim Tebow just do, like, is he going to keep coming with these amazing comebacks?
Yeah.
And the answer is no.
No. The answer
very
is
much
just straight
no.
up no. But yet, as Scott said, in the Jewish household, here are some, these I might be paraphrasing here, but some notes I took. Mr. Maslow says to his son Abe, Tim Tebow is rubbing his savior in everyone's noses. As a Jew, I find that very offensive. I don't need him infiltrating our television.
Broncos won again. Another miracle finish for Tebow. He did that thing in the end zone again, where he gets down on a knee and prays.
I don't wish to hear any more on this subject. That fellow keeps rubbing that man he says is his savior in everybody's noses. As a Jew, I find that highly offensive. I don't need that name infiltrating our home through the television. It's caused enough damage to our people over the years.
Wow.
And then he gives his son a book about the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's a very, very short bridge from one to the other. From Tim Tebow to the Holocaust.
He's like, I think you're ready, son.
Yeah.
Here's a book about the Holocaust. In Holocaust news,
Yes.
some happenings
They found out who did
today. We finally did.
Coldest case.
Yes, OJ's been looking for the real killer this whole time. Elon Musk and Ben Shapiro toured Auschwitz today.
I bet that went
Well,
swimmingly.
according to the New York Times, after the tour, I don't know exactly who, it must have been some representatives of X, gave a presentation that created fake tweets that showed what it would have been like if Twitter was around during the time of the Holocaust.
What?
Including fake tweets that would have shown that Twitter would have helped spread information about the Holocaust that could, I think, I don't 100% know, but the tone, I think, is that it would have been better somehow.
Yeah, because it's
if
going
X
so
had been
well
around.
for the Palestinians and Uyghur people and everyone else who's being genocided right now with Twitter.
With Twitter, and very, very specifically covering and saying what's going on. I see horrible things every day. As someone who goes on there, does not seem to be changing anyone's mind. Or helping.
And people loved Jews even more then than they do now. So
Yeah.
I'm sure most of Americans knowing about the Holocaust would have really drummed up support for getting involved in the war. I think if Twitter were around to spread the Holocaust and news of the Holocaust in America during World War II, we would have allied with Germany. I think the outcome of the war would have been a lot different.
Yeah.
Some things are better left unknown by the American public.
Maybe so. Maybe so. But
That is wild. What a wild PR stunt. My God.
It really was.
Was that like in-house tweets to like they had to show Elon Musk a presentation about it afterwards?
Let me just fact check this really quick. I know I saw some pictures here, but
it's also the American government did not get involved in like they had the option to blow up shipping routes like to and from concentration camps, but they did not bomb them because the military is worried that it would show that they were like supporting Jews during World War II.
Dude, you can look at some screenshots from the presentation.
I gotta see.
I don't know if like these are so sad.
Whoa!
Like I don't even know if I like want to.
This train is kind of sus.
We're looking at. I'm not even gonna like describe them in depth, but we're looking at like fake tweets with like very Jewish names of like fake Jewish pundits. I don't know.
I don't know how to pronounce it,
unfortunately. But oh my god! And there's like this is a fake tweet from a purported official Auschwitz camp Twitter saying members of the thriving Jewish community in our camp perform a rehearsal with musical instruments, high spirits, and then there's like a fact check under the tweet saying like it's literally doing a mock-up as if they had Twitter in Auschwitz right now. And in the presentation, here's a screenshot that says, if we had X in 1939, how many lives could have been saved? This is from today's presentation of Elon Musk touring Auschwitz. It's one of the most insane things. Like,
that's so crazy.
Since 3 weeks ago when I watched a Chabad man crawl out of a sewer grate, this is probably this 3 weeks later is now the most insane anti-Semitic moment I've ever seen. So I don't know what's going on here, but
Jews are having some major PR L's lately.
I hate to say it, but fortunately, there's someone like
we got to get me to the
Parker.
center of the earth to take control of the situation down there, because this is just blunder after blunder.
Well, we're beginning to see it.
Fortunately,
Sorry,
like you were saying, there's people like Donald James Parker looking out, and they got their own PR angle.
Yes. So, we're starting to see there's parallel stories going on between the Maslow family and the Douglas family. The Maslows are, of course, the Jewish family. The Douglases are the clean-cut all-American Christian family. Their lives are about to become, intertwined when we're meeting them both, not knowing how they're going to connect. And it turns out Mr. Douglas calls Mr. Maslow and hires him for a teaching position at the local university. It seems that Mr. Maslow is a professor who's been out of work for some time, and he ends up taking this teaching position in South Dakota, in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which is very exciting. And the Douglases are delighted about this because in a previous conversation, it's become revealed that their son, Paul, who's about the same age as Abraham Maslow, Paul Douglas has recently gotten a fervor for missioning and an interest in Jewish culture. And their son has just proclaimed to his parents, I think what I really want to do is mission to the Jewish people and try to bring them to Christianity. But it's a shame. I don't know any Jewish people. And his father is like, well, you soon will, son. I've invited some Jews to teach at the university and to live in the house directly next door to us.
That we own.
So he literally is like luring a Jewish family into his trap.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
I did like the line of, isn't it a bit of a conflict of interest to hire somebody for you and then rent a house to them?
Right.
It was a weird moment of self-awareness.
Yeah. That's the thing with Donald. Like he can anticipate all the plot holes, so he has to like right away to. He's a very smart guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he uses his smarts in some like pretty insane directions, but he answers the questions that, we might have watching this film.
Around this time, I think there was stop me if I'm getting ahead, but the scene where the little boy was watching sports with his friend, and his friend is like, why aren't you watching the basketball game? And the kid says, it's just hard to get fired up about sports after learning about the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come on. Yes, come on. Why are you reading a book during a basketball game?
Basketball just seems kind of boring right now.
Boring? I thought you loved basketball.
I do, but more so playing it. It's just kind of hard to get fired up about sports after reading about the Holocaust.
The what?
Holocaust?
Paul has become such a weeb for Judaism that he's no longer interested in sports because he just has an open book about the Holocaust in his lap while he's watching basketball. This is just a 12-year-old boy in South Dakota who does not know a single Jewish person, but loves Jews so much.
Yep.
And, you know, he's reading about the Holocaust. He's reading everything about Jewish history and culture he can immerse himself in preparation for his new Jewish friend.
I wonder if that's why Kyrie Irving denies the Holocaust, because he knows that if he acknowledges its reality, he won't be able to play basketball anymore.
Yes.
We have to make sure our basketball players do not find out about the Holocaust, y'all. The game will become very stagnant.
I got to be able to watch my basketball.
Yeah.
Yes.
This would be devastating.
I can read horrible things and watch basketball at the same time, but I guess I'm not 12. I'm an adult.
Right. That's what being an adult's all about. Multitasking. Emotional multitasking.
Exactly.
Oh, look, in my notes, I also have the fired about sports while reading the Holocaust line. So the Maslows move to Sioux Falls, and they soon meet the Douglases and have dinner with them. This is something I wrote in my notes. This is like a main theme about Donald James Parker and his writing. So in Mr. Parker's conception of the world, everyone is religion forward. Like, these two families are so religion forward that they come into a relation with another family expecting that there's going to be a spiritual conflict that will happen, simply because in Donald James Parker's world, he can't imagine basically having a conversation that doesn't have to do with your personal faith and upbringing. It's like the most outward manifestation of your being is your religious identity.
I mean, he gets it. You're not wrong for that. I really feel like he says that in the movie. It's like, you're not, for whatever religion you're following, like, you're not less of a person for that. Just one of them is the way to get to heaven.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to your point that everyone's so religious forward in this world. It's like, yeah, that's just the natural state of things. And you try to figure out the right one.
That being said, he can't imagine a relationship between a Christian and a Jew in which one party is not influenced by the other in some way. Otherwise, they basically don't have a reason to be together. Like, you as a Christian can't really be friends with a Jew, because there's always going to be this like tension hanging over your relationship about like, well, I do need to share the Messiah with this Jewish person. And a Jewish person is always on the defense, because the point of view in this film is that Jews believe that all Christians are trying to rob them of their faith and culture.
Yeah. They'll be so easily swayed.
Yes. Like,
it kind of reminds me of how like media literacy is like at an all-time low, it feels like right now. And so anytime like somebody says something bad, like if a bad character says something bad in a TV show, people are like, someone's going to believe that.
Right.
And do that.
Yeah, there's a big moral panic about an imagined type of person who takes something like at full face value.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, listen, there's some stupid people in the world, but that is a relatively, in my knowledge of the world, that is a relatively recent cultural concern.
Feels like it.
Feels like
just
it.
Be like, if you see people shooting each other and on television, then you'll want to go and shoot everybody.
Right.
Which is hard to, nowadays, it's hard to argue that the people who said that were not correct.
Yes. Well, there's a point there. But, yeah, nowadays it's gone past that. It's not just about like sex or violence and things. Now it's like there's a big about beliefs.
Yeah.
Beliefs and political views. And like you sort of have to curate those for your, let's say you have kids or whatever. You know, you have to make sure you're like curating the right belief set. But even as an adult, if you listen to the wrong podcasts, the wrong shows, anything like that, there's a chance that you could be sort of corrupted.
Yeah.
By, you know, quote, misinformation.
It always feels like the people who get riled up about it are like, everyone except for me is too stupid to listen to this because they will believe it at face value. I'm the only one who knows.
Yeah. But, you know, in Donald's world, which is like a reality that I love to visit every couple months when we're doing this podcast, in Donald's world, that basically is true. And yes, again, it's hard to imagine different people coming together and sharing their values without, if both are sincere, then one, and there's a difference, then either one must be right and one must be wrong, or there's going to be some sort of cultural exchange that leads to an evolution of beliefs. So Mr. Maslow is actually really correct in this insane perspective he has in the film where he's terrified of his son. You remember the scene where they're telling his son not to have any friends in their new neighborhood because they're so sure that he's going to lose his Jewish faith, because I guess in the logic of this movie, Jewish faith is just wrong. So the only way to protect your kids from not abandoning it is to like keep them in a fish tank. When he comes back from walking around the neighborhood and goes, I met a girl and she said I was cute. And his mom goes like, Abraham, the most dangerous people to your faith are going to be girls, Abraham.
Dang.
Yeah.
No shiksas for you. Did I use that word right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks, Julian. Google says shiksa is often derogatory.
The shiksa Nazi. No shiksa for
you. His mom, literally. It's awesome seeing a woman named Joyce. Joyce Swingle plays Hava Maslow.
Was this
you
before
can't
or
make
after
this shit up.
I know. Was this before or after those bullies tried to I guess that was because he starts hanging around with the two kids in his neighborhood.
Yes. So I would say about 90% of the film, I would say about 90% of the scenes with the three kids takes place on one 6-foot stretch of the sidewalk in this neighborhood. Except for a scene where they go wandering through a little patch of woods in the neighborhood.
Sure.
Where they run into two extremely anti-Semitic bullies.
Yes, they do. They run into two young Aryans.
Yes. Who threatened to beat up the little Jew boy.
Yes.
New kid? Is this the little Jew boy?
I believe one of them says, I'll occupy the mouth a little while.
Hey, Larry. Why don't you go ahead and take him? I'll occupy the mouth a little while.
What?
Did you not hear that?
There was a lot going on. I missed.
It was like right when they were about
line.
to start beating him up. He was like, he said, one of the bullies said to the other one, like, you work in the stomach or something, and I'll occupy the mouth a little while.
Jesus,
saying
what
you like, punch him in the mouth, but.
Oh,
I mean, that's a Donaldism right there.
Yeah.
Only Donald James Parker would think of language in that way.
Oh my God.
And then the little Tim Tebow kid comes in and like tells them to back off, and they're like, get out of this, jock.
This isn't your fight, jock boy. Just stay out of it.
The Douglas boy.
Kid who's like 4 feet tall and like 60 pounds. A jock because he likes sports.
But then what's the other friend's name? What's her name? It's like Amanda or something.
I have it here, I'm sure. Well, Sarah, right? No, Sarah's the cousin.
Yeah, I think.
No. It is
Rebecca?
Sarah. No, it's Sarah. No, Sarah is definitely the neighborhood girl because this becomes a joke at the end because, the Jewish kid's named Abraham and her name is Sarah. And this is a
Right.
reference to the Bible. Like they are destined then. This is a spoiler of the end. Of the film. But the families in full view of the two 12-year-olds say they could be married one day. Abraham and Sarah,
Yeah.
and are setting them up to be married.
Disturbing stuff.
A lot going on.
That's the kind of shit that people who are like really worried about pedophiles in the government will say
Yes.
about children and their lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, what are you two 12-year-olds fucking?
Yeah. God. But Sarah, she uses the fact that the Douglas boy's dad is Mr. Douglas, the bigwig at the college, and they're like, "Whoa, I don't want to mess with him."
Yeah.
It's very strange the way she brings it up, and you're like, "Why would they give a fucking shit?" Like, they're like implying that like he'll make it harder for them to get into college in 6 years.
That's very Donald.
To Dakota State University. or whatever.
That's a very Donaldism because and I just only thought of this right now, but Donald to Donald, the mind is the greatest judge of a person. He's a very like pro-intellectual person, and to him like college is a big like struggle zone. And that's why, Gramps Goes to College is all about that. It's about a man re-entering the college system to try to change it from within. And yeah, in this film, because Mr. Douglas is like, the head of a college, he like represents some, like he's like a king. He's like a local like feudal lord. It's a very strange. That's an assumption that only Donald would make about the world.
He is, he comes from a time when not everybody went to college.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And he lived through a time where everybody went to college.
Right.
And now he lives again in a time where nobody can go to college.
Right.
So it's the mystery of college. It's ever changing.
It's true. But I definitely think that's a big issue for him. During this time, despite Abraham's family trying to keep them away from the Christian influence of his friends, they homeschool him. They tell him to stay away from friends. It's impossible because Abraham's curious mind is leading him into religious discussions with his new friends. He tells them about elaborate dreams he has where he sees New Testament stories played out in front of him. He's never read the New Testament. In fact, this movie insists that Jews are forbidden from reading the New Testament somehow, and that like there's a big goal within Jewish families to like not teach kids what Christmas is. Not said in those many words, but it's like they're like, he doesn't know about the nativity. It's like, I'm sure that a Jewish kid in America would know.
Yeah.
At least have seen a nativity scene.
Yeah.
Before. It's just a very
they didn't seem so sheltered that they lived in like sometimes they'll have like Hasidic neighborhoods.
Right.
Where they don't know anything about what's going on.
Well, sure, very Orthodox.
Yeah, but they were just like conservative Jews.
Right.
Which, they're pretty weird.
Sure.
As a Reform Jew. Pretty much anybody other than Reform Jews are extremely weird.
Sure.
But you could say that about most Christians.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Most religions.
Yes. Well, in the beginning of the film, Mr. Maslow says there's a Reform congregation in Sioux Falls. We would never go there.
Yeah. We had some, we had a little bit of, there was a conservative synagogue and a Reform synagogue in my town.
Yeah.
And we had a little bit of overlap. I remember at one point we went to their synagogue. I think they came to ours. It's a little cultural bridge. Bridging.
Did you have to drive there or did you just take the tunnel?
Stick the tunnel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. No, I've never been to like a conservative synagogue. I assume that I went to Reform bar mitzvahs. I've been to many bar mitzvahs.
Yeah.
In my life as someone who grew up in like I'd say like 50% Jewish community.
That's wild.
It was a very, very Jew. Unlike the school didn't have like off on high holy days, but like half the classroom would be gone.
Yeah.
It was just I grew up in a very Jewish neighborhood, and people frequently assumed I was Jewish because of my hair and my features.
Yeah.
But I was not. But I've been to many bar mitzvahs, and I assume they were Reform.
Probably.
Because I remember, I don't know how this is the case. I have a distinct memory of
was there
being
a big party afterwards with a DJ?
Yes.
It probably Reform.
It's funny you say that because I'll never forget this as someone who's always been interested in music. I distinctly remember at a bar mitzvah and the DJ was playing Hot in Here by Nelly to, a group of 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds on the dance floor. I mean, song was just on the radio, but the chorus is, so take off all your clothes. And I remember looking over and seeing a table full of adult Jewish men wearing yarmulkes, like bobbing their heads to Hot in Here by Nelly. I wasn't allowed to listen to music like that at the time. That was considered too raunchy. My very sort of sheltering parents found that type of music to be, I was not allowed to listen to rap, hip hop, R&B. It was too raunchy.
Yeah.
But I went to these bar mitzvahs and there were like, it was a religious party after a religious ceremony. And there would just be men in yarmulkes like dancing to Hot in Here by Nelly. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah. At my bar mitzvah party, the DJ played Let the Bodies Hit the Floor by Disturbed, and one of the Christian kids from my school came up to me and said, I don't know what you guys believe in, but this song is messed up.
That was like that's the equivalent of me at your school.
Yeah, to this day I do not know if it was a joke or not, but I know a lot of for a lot of people it was like the first bar mitzvah they'd ever gone to.
No, I went to a couple. I think I went to
it was a little unexpected for them, you could say.
Expect the unexpected.
At Julian's bar mitzvah.
Yeah. It was Hawaiian themed.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Classy
So
Hawaiian themed.
That's so good.
Man. Yeah, most of my Jewish friends when I was in middle school had less strict parents than I did. Like a couple of them were like close, like in the same realm, but mostly and all of the bar and bat mitzvahs I went to were just like school dances, basically. It felt like
yeah. I mean, I feel that way too. I feel like maybe total generalization, but maybe like Reform Jewish families that I knew, weren't as like media policing on their kids.
They're basically atheist.
Sure.
I feel like it's just, if you're Reform Jewish, you're just doing it because of the community, I think.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, it's like quite a lot of people do. The religious things that they do is for the community aspect.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
I don't recall any instance of like being at church and being at temple or in Sunday school or whatever and being told like not to watch something or like I don't think there was ever any discussion about like what was appropriate or inappropriate culturally.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting thing here because like that's all he's doing in this movie is telling him what is appropriate, inappropriate.
Yes.
And then not having any community interaction whatsoever. So like the main reason he's right to keep his son from other people is because those are the only other people his son has to interact with. Like he's getting no community through his normal home structure right now. So like, he probably is going to go with whatever they say just because he needs friends.
It's also pretty wild that like for a movie that is this incompetent about reality, I guess, I don't know. It's like the main conceit is that like the Jewish family is like the minority religious ethnic family is displaced because of economic hardship and like forced to move to a place where like they're hated.
Yeah.
And like misunderstood and ostracized and like forced to be what do you call it when you're like assimilated into the new culture.
Right.
Interesting.
Very, very mature themes for such a bizarre movie.
Totally.
That it takes the side of you should assimilate into the culture that you're in.
Basically, yeah. It's for so much that's intentional about the film, you almost wonder how much like that, what you just brought up is.
Yeah.
Or if that's just like a hidden result that happened by the nature of how this story unfolded.
Yeah, the reason he takes the job at the university is because he was fired for whatever reason from the university he worked for in Seattle and is like can't afford to pay for their house anymore.
Right.
And is he said something like they're going to be like completely out of money in like 3 months or something.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean I understood why he took the job. Sounded like a good deal. And the rent on the house is $500 a month. Fully
I'd
furnished.
be moving to South Dakota.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
I'll be moving to South Dakota.
Yeah, I'll be fucking whatever Christian this is.
Yeah.
This weird Jewish Christian
I'll
thing.
be a
Assembly of
weird
God.
Jewish Christian hybrid. Well,
Assembly of God.
I want to get to that, but first I want to say
Actually,
that
Assembly of
crucial-
God was his like gateway drug. Remember? He's like, yeah, I got a friend. His dad was like, where'd you pick up this stuff? He's like, I got a friend at Assembly of God. And then they end up at a different church in the end. Anyway,
Well,
sorry. Go on, Ash.
No, it's good. There's a bunch to talk about that. First, I want to say that Abraham goes through a lot of spiritual questioning, despite the attempts of his father to separate him from Christian influence. And one day, while in bed, Abraham has a vision from God.
Yes.
God literally speaks to Abraham and tells him that, yes, Jesus is the Messiah, and that him knowing this will eventually convert his parents to Christianity or some sort of, Messianic Judaism, and it will be a difficult road for him.
I feel kind of dumb, God. Paul said I should talk to you about these dreams. Paul's a pretty cool guy. He thinks that Jesus is your son. I mean, your actual son. And if that's true, then it's only right that I give him the proper respect. What I'm trying to say is that if Jesus really is the Messiah and your son, then I want to lay my sins at his feet and be forgiven.
My son, you have made a choice that is pleasing to me. The journey ahead of you will be strewn with obstacles that will test your faith. You will bring your family to the Messiah if you do not give up and if you are obedient to my promptings. You need to seek me with all your heart. In order to do this, you must remove things that are offensive to me from your life. Remember that rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and you must learn to worship me in spirit and in truth.
But first, Julian's laughing at something on his phone. Anything?
I was just laughing at the fucking...
Oh, okay.
this kid, like, when he sits straight up and is, like, shaking and
like Exorcist
his eyes
style.
are closed. Yeah.
He has a vision from God. Also, God tells him to tear down his Harry Potter posters.
Yes. Was this before or after he was having the dreams?
Right after.
Because
Right after the
at one
dream
point-
leading up to this.
Right. And one of my favorite scenes when he ran up to... So multiple times he runs up to his two new friends and says, I had a dream last night. And they have to sit there and listen to him talk about his dreams. But the final one, he says, I had a dream last night. My father tried to slit my throat.
Yeah, that one was awesome.
That was very funny.
That one was really awesome.
Suppose he had another dream last night.
Find out in a minute. Here it comes.
I've been waiting to talk to you guys all day.
What now? Did you dream your Harry Potter poster? I had a fight with your Tim Tebow poster?
No, this one might be even stranger. I dreamed my dad tied me up on an altar and was gonna slit my throat with this big knife. Just as his hand came toward me, I was suddenly standing next to my dad, and on the altar was a lamb.
That's bizarro.
I'm not done yet. Just as the knife arrived, the lamb all of a sudden turned into the guy on the Jesus poster on Paul's wall. Then I woke up.
obviously a biblical parallel to the story of Abraham and Isaac in the Bible, although Abraham in the Bible is the father who did the throat slitting.
Yeah.
Abraham is the son in this film.
Figured out.
I mean, Donald's all over the place. I mean, he should be institutionalized probably, but yes, there also, before the God revelation, Abraham begins speaking in tongues to his friend, which while I was watching last night, I texted the both of you guys, when your freaky ass Jewish friend starts speaking in tongues. Because that's sort of what happens in the film. Like Paul makes this Jewish friend, and like he's unlocking all sorts of like spiritual combos and power ups. Like he begins like speaking in tongues for no reason.
Yeah,
this is going to be important because it unlocks a big discussion on speaking in tongues and baptism of the Spirit, which is one of the many ingredients in the stew of this movie.
Yeah.
Because depending on the Christian that you talk to, that is not a real thing.
Yes, this is very interesting. This is such a crazy Donaldism to unlock just so many spiritual debates that arrive on the point again at the final end of this movie. Both families arrive on crazy specific points of how to worship that Donald seems to say both of those are really good. It gives you two options for how you can worship God if you're a Jew or a Christian at the end. Both of them are insane, and you need to read many Wikipedia articles to even understand what he's saying. But there's a big discussion in this movie about what I learned from the article you sent, Scott, is the debate between so-called cessation and continuation. This basically is the idea of, is speaking in tongues something that Christians are allowed to do anymore? We know it happened in the Bible because in the New Testament it says this directly. We also know there are some congregations that speak in tongues, or so they claim. It's very popular. A lot of Christians do it, actually. It's more mainstream than some people might know. But Paul's dad, the young Paul, his dad is like really against speaking in tongues. He thinks it's from the devil, which is like, where is any of this coming from?
Yeah.
And at the same time that Abraham is having a back and forth with his dad, debating whether Jesus is the Messiah, Paul is debating his dad whether you are allowed to speak in tongues. Cessation, it means that the idea of speaking in tongues has stopped. It's no longer relevant to the modern world. Continuation means it is still relevant to the modern world. You should speak in tongues the way the disciples did when they were baptized by the Holy Spirit. Sorry, lots of background. But that's what's going on here in the Unexpected Bar Mitzvah.
It's because of 5G.
And I met other Christians growing up who were like, well, that stuff could happen again and probably does happen sometimes in the world, but not at these local churches the way they say it is.
Right. I mean, to me, the contemporary idea of speaking in tongues is basically, it's a manifestation of a sort of like spiritual fervor or religious ecstaticism. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
I don't think the feeling behind it is insincere, but it's a shared, someone says, okay, do it, start speaking in tongues. And then you're in a really like heightened state. You're very excited because you're in this like state where everyone's doing this together. And then you start going like, la, 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 la. And that's what they do. And I'm not saying, like, again, if that's how you want it, I'm sure you leave that feeling like, wow, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Because you got to like break down a social barrier. You got to do something that you don't normally do in church. I mean, I grew up in fucking Lutheran church where you barely like, all you do is stand up and sit down and then like sing some hymns kind of off key.
Yeah.
So we would find speaking in tongues like crazy.
I think they're just jealous.
Okay.
They're jealous, It's
That's
like
valid.
I was saying to you the other week, how the more somebody is like excited about a movie or something, the less I want to see it.
Yeah.
And like the more I'm like mentally prepared to like tear it apart.
Right.
I'm just jealous that they can feel that sort of excitement.
You know what?
And I think that's what these cessationists are.
There's something there.
Yeah.
I think there is. I think they're saying, yeah, I'm too good. I'm too smart to just be at church going, oh, my la, 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 la.
But in reality, they're just jealous. They wish they could get that excited about.
That's honestly possible.
You speak in tongues as a baby. That's what God gave you. God gave you that gift when you were born.
Wow.
That's true. You
Say,
come out speaking in
shamaloo.
tongues, and then they try to get you to stop. They're like, no, it's God's language, not good enough. Talk how I talk.
Except when you're born and you come out of the womb holding the abortion pill and you say, "No weapon forged against me shall prosper," which is something that babies seem to do all the time. I've heard, based on memes I've seen online.
Yeah,
this is something that babies do all the time.
Pretty sure that happened in the devil conspiracy.
I think that actually literally did happen. Also, the baptism of the Holy Spirit in the New Testament, not only were they speaking in tongues, they also then, part of the baptism of the Holy Spirit that the disciples experience is that they then are given the gift of, I can't remember the name of it, but basically means they could speak every language. Their message of God was then available for them, no matter the language of who heard it. Everyone heard their message in their own native language.
Whoa.
That was part of the story. So I feel like speaking in tongues is just like, they're not given the gift of like multilingual prophecy.
It's just whatever.
It's the opposite. Nobody understands you.
Right. So I don't know. I'm not anti speaking in tongues, but I don't think that I definitely am of the opinion that the speaking in tongues that happens in contemporary Christian congregations is not. It's a shared social experience. It's not a spiritual manifestation.
Right.
Which I don't think is an unreasonable read of it. But there's so many insane parts in fucking Unexpected Bar Mitzvah where like Paul goes to like some old guy in the neighborhood and is like, "Can you lend me all of your books about speaking in tongues, please?" Or it's the pastor, I guess. And the pastor's like, "Ooh, if that's pretty heavy stuff, Paul, like not to be messed with, but here you go." Again, this is Donald's world. And everyone is just like, I need to read the book. I need to do the reading. You can go to someone's house, Julian's sitting right in front of my bookshelf right there. He could come in and say, "Ash, can you lend me your book about being baptized in the Spirit?" And I'd be like, "Absolutely, here it is."
And then you would say, "Now I just need to do some research." And you would go and Google image search the Holocaust.
And that's how we would learn to understand each other better.
Oh, that song, when he's doing that research, Google searching
it's
Holocaust
like a Jewish
images.
city pop song.
Yeah, that song's a bop.
It was so good.
Temple pop.
Yeah. It was like, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu.
Well, here you go.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, just fire away. I'm going to do some research on the internet. All right.
I love Jewish city pop. That's like such a good genre.
Oh, speaking of, isn't that what? So when Abraham comes out, as it's referred to, comes out of the closet.
Yes,
about Jesus,
they use
as
that
they
phrase.
literally refer to it later in the film. He says to his father that he believes that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior.
Yes.
First, his dad is relieved to hear his son is not gay.
Yes.
Very accurate to conservative Judaism.
He says like he basically says I have something to tell you, like it's about me and Paul.
Right.
And his father was like, "You're gay?"
Yeah. No, he says, I believe in Jesus now. And he says, I'm as serious as a heart attack. And then his dad tears his shirt open and screams to the heavens. I think, is that the scene where he yells, Baruch atah Adonai?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
that's incredible.
Funny.
Is there something going on that we need to discuss?
Is it that apparent?
It is to me. It's not about that girl, is it?
Sarah? No, it's about a guy.
A guy? You're not telling me that you and Paul are gay?
No, Dad. Big N-O.
Oh, thank you, God.
I've accepted Jesus Christ as my Messiah.
You shouldn't joke with your father like this. Oh.
Dad, I'm not joking. I'm serious as a heart attack.
And that's about what I'm gonna have. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu. Dayan ha-emet. How could you do this? How could you disgrace your family like this?
One of the craziest stills from a movie, the one of him, with he tears his shirt open and screams at God in the presence of his son. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
The video clip.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll post the video on.
Absolutely.
On
I don't have to tell you guys.
I actually, while we've been recording
true.
this, I bought this on DVD. Because it's good, and the quality version available is not very nice, honestly.
No, the one on YouTube is great.
Yeah.
No, dude, this is it's a little long. It's 2 hours, but like this is one you could show the friends. Like this is like a really good one.
Oh yeah.
But like, he does come out to his father. His father sends him to New York
to stay at his uncle's,
who's played by Donald James Parker, which we love to see. Not a very Jewish-looking man, Donald.
None of the Jewish people in this film were particularly Jewish-looking.
I mean, the one guy had brown hair. That
he
much
did,
you can say.
And a beard.
Sure.
That looked like it might have just been like hair that was glued onto his face.
Hair they found in the bathroom of the local JCC gym. They just glued it onto his face.
He sends him to his uncle's to be turned back to being Jewish.
Yes, there is a sort of gay metaphor throughout the film. They do say coming out of the closet about Jesus, and they also say that they're going to get him to like a conversion therapist.
Yeah.
But this is like a Jewish conversion therapist.
I don't think Donald James Parker has ever met a Jewish person.
He's Paul in this movie. Donald is Paul in this movie.
Anything about Judaism.
He loves I mean, he's read all the books.
Right.
I'm sure,
but he's never met a Jewish person.
Sure, there are people in this situation, as there would be in any church or whatever, who would serve the same role as like a quote unquote conversion therapist. But I don't think you would call it a conversion therapist.
No.
It would just be like a rabbi. And they do send him to a rabbi.
Right.
But I don't think there's going to be anybody who's going to hook his balls up to a car battery and electrocute him until he's conservative Jewish.
Hook it. Well, I was going to say hook his foreskin up to a battery.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that, my friend.
Where do I clip it? So while he's at his uncle's, he levels up.
Yes, he does.
He levels up in Christianity. He is gifted he unlocks the power of healing through prayer. Faith healing.
Yes.
Yeah. He is faced with the conversion therapist, who he also has the ability he has like the unbreakable ability where he can touch him and see his past. And so he knows that he intuits that the conversion therapist hurt his leg drunk driving and has been lying about it. And then he prays and heals his leg. And then they bring out his cousin, Rebecca, who is wheelchair bound with
multiple sclerosis.
Yes. Not just one, multiple.
All of them. All of the sclerosis, please.
And he then heals her into walking.
Amazing.
And this leads to a chain reaction of his entire extended family becoming Christian.
Yeah, or at the very least, Messianic Jews. Yes. Go on, Scott.
He calls his dad, or his dad calls in. His dad calls Donald James Parker, see how it's going. how the reconversion's going. And he's like, "Oh, it's going great. I'm a Christian now, and he cured your niece." And his dad is just mortified. Because he dropped the ball.
Micah, it's incredible.
The rabbi got through to him?
Not exactly.
The deprogrammer got through to him?
Not exactly.
You got through to him?
No. He healed my baby.
What? Who did what?
Abraham. He laid hands on Rebecca and prayed in the name of Yeshua for her healing. She got up out of that wheelchair and she walked, and she's been fine ever since. The doctors are stunned.
You tried to deprogram her?
Well, yeah. Abraham healed him too.
What? Oh, tell me I'm dreaming this whole thing.
Sorry, bro, but this is no dream. I have some more news that's going to rock your world. My whole family has accepted Yeshua as the Messiah, and we've been baptized in the Holy Spirit.
David, please tell me this is your idea of a sick joke.
His brother dropped the ball.
Yeah, this is not what he was.
Not working
screenshot. The screenshot you sent of his face when he's about to tell him. So funny.
When he gets
That's
off
the best
phone,
Donald scene.
He tells his wife, "Our former son has become a Christian terrorist."
I don't want to play the role of joke. Put my life back together.
What's the matter, Micah?
Oh, our former son has become a Christian terrorist.
That's what people were calling us before a screening.
Yes, it's true.
It's true.
Yeah, we've done a little bit of Christian terrorism of our own. I'm just imagining Christian terrorists doing like an ISIS style video where we force baptize people.
Christian equals ISIS.
Yep, church equals ISIS, y'all. It's coming back. It's always coming back.
And that's another point of contention is baptism too, though, and like how important that is in the process of being. A Christian.
This real quick.
Yes,
did
please.
you notice that in the uncle's house, the decoration of the house that somebody was in the cast was
You're
definitely living in. They had a Star of David on the wall, and then they also had another star, but it was like a 5-pointed star. And it seems like they just like, to me, it feels like they don't know the difference between a Star of David and like another star, or they just saw it there and like left it up, and we're just like, well, Jewish people love stars.
Yeah, Jewish people always got those.
They're always
stars
numbering them.
Yeah. No, Donald really does talk about Jewish people the way that weebs talk about Japanese people.
Yes.
Like I don't know.
He's like a big fan of the lore of like certain concepts, looks.
But he just gets some things that seem very wrong. He doesn't remember how many points are on the star. What were we going to say about... the baptism thing.
Yes.
The baptism thing, it kind of comes through toward the ends, but then this is a whole thing. Maybe we'll talk about this a little more, but basically Abraham's father and mother, they decide to read the entire New Testament, finally, the first time in their lives, to see what it's about. They pick up through careful reading of the New Testament that actually in the New Testament, the only correct baptism is through full immersion. There's no talk of sprinkling.
In the Jordan River.
Right, specifically in the Jordan River. They're like, we need to be baptized in a facsimile of the Jordan River. So, and this is as opposed to sprinkling, which the movie basically insists is not the correct way to baptize.
Yeah.
You need immersion baptism. And I didn't actually realize, I guess I knew that some churches did it different than others, but I didn't, honestly, never really considered why that would be. But I guess it's with this point.
Yeah, so that's the final domino to fall.
Yep.
Is Paul's dad. Is that his name,
Yes.
Paul?
Well, now it's Abraham's dad. Paul's the Christian kid. Abraham's the Jewish kid.
Well, no, was Paul's dad
right.
needs to get baptized
You're right.
in the Jordan River because they
Yeah.
all the families are together. Abraham's dad has finally agreed to become a Jew for Jesus.
Yes.
But so is Paul's dad.
And so has Paul's dad. This is such a weird, like everyone coming together to be half Jewish, half Christian.
Yeah.
So bizarre.
Paul
Feels like some sort of, well, the Assembly of God is evangelical. It's an evangelical Pentecostal something.
Right.
So
that was the gateway drug
this-
into the charismatic stuff and opening their mind to the differences of the understanding of the Bible from what he previously had.
This all feels like it's some sort of like back way into the return of Christ.
Yep.
Something where like all the Jews become Christian and all the Christians become Jews.
Yeah. I remember
And
back
they
in
all
my
go
day,
underwater.
Christians were Christians and Jews were
Yeah.
Jews. You know, what's going on nowadays?
Yeah. I identify as Jewish/Christian.
I know, like some shit is happening nowadays.
Oh, I'm sorry. I fucked that up. My pronouns are Christian, Jewish.
Yeah. My pronouns are
Boy,
he, him.
Good shit.
No, but you're right. This is the final. This is Donald's spiritual conclusion. He basically says that if you're a Christian, you should worship in the Assembly of God Church.
Yes,
because they do full immersion baptism. They believe in the continuation as opposed to the cessation of the baptism of the Holy Spirit. Therefore, they are like in tune, the most biblical in Donald's opinion. Did I call him Paul earlier? Who cares? In Donald James Parker's opinion, it seems that the Assembly of God Church is the most biblically observing Christian ensemble.
Yeah.
Or, congregation. Meanwhile, Messianic Jews, for instance, Jews for Jesus, are another very valid way to worship because they are Torah friendly, I believe is a vocabulary that's used in the film. And yet they observe Christian traditions. They believe that Jesus is, in fact, the Messiah that is foretold in the Torah, which, Jews, just regular Jews, are not so sure about. They're waiting for the return of the Messiah. They don't necessarily believe that Jesus is that Messiah.
Right. Did they skip the baptisms? I don't recall seeing the baptisms.
No baptisms.
And we just went straight to the bar mitzvahs.
The unexpected bar mitzvahs.
Yes. Which was 3 children, 2 of them being, 4. 4 children, 2 of them women, and 2 of them Christian, were part of some sort of like Mooney style mass bar mitzvahing where they didn't even have to read the Haftarah in front of everybody or give a speech. Not really a bar mitzvah, if you ask me.
Yeah, you got it. That part's a big deal.
You got to be publicly embarrassed.
Right.
That's my theory as to why so many Jewish people are in comedy and like entertainment. Because at a very formative age, you have to go on stage and like embarrass yourself in front of an entire audience.
You have to like do an impossible performance that everybody's bored by already.
Yes.
Yeah. And like, when you're 13, there's like a 75% chance that you, as a man, like your voice is still like high and womanly.
Yeah.
So you have to sing the Torah like in like a woman's octave.
Yeah.
This is something I thought about because, I was always singing, like even as a kid. I remember going, and I was very sensitive at that time about, as many people are, I would answer the phone as like a young teen and
hello,
and people would be like, would call me by my mom's name. Yeah. Or I'd be like, hello. And they would be like, yeah. I'd be like, I'd answer the phone and be like, hello, who's calling? And they would be like, oh, hi, Cheryl, like blah, 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 blah. And I'd be like, oh, no, this is Ash. Let me get my mom. And I just remember feeling for my I went to some of their ceremonies and feeling for my Jewish friends and being like, wow, they had to just get up there and sing like girls and sing like the Torah,
Did your mom ever use that to get out of conversations? Then
no,
it's like, oh, it's Ash actually. My mom's not home.
Yeah,
don't call back.
No, I don't think we ever thought it through. We were not a very calculating family. I mean, I wasn't even allowed to listen to Hot in Here by Nelly. I wasn't allowed to lie on the phone.
Is that why you've become so Machiavellian in your adult life?
Absolutely.
You were denied it as a child?
Very much so.
So you haven't suffered the consequences of going behind making plans
Nope.
against people.
No, because it works 100% of the time.
That's true. Once you're an adult and you can do it, you're approaching it with, the mind of an innocent person.
Yes. The mind of a mastermind.
Yeah. You're like when they hire a serial killer to track down another serial killer.
When they hire a hacker to work for the FBI. Yes. I have, because I've honed my skills as an innocent Christian, I can now be evil as an adult. It's true. It feels good.
Yeah.
There's lots of shit. I mean, I learned a lot from this film. I learned that Jews for Jesus call Jesus like Yeshua, or at least I don't even know if that's true for all of them. That's the vocab they use in this movie.
Yeah. That is one thing I distinctly remember from Sunday school when I was like 11 or 12 was the teacher, or maybe even the rabbi, telling us that Jews for Jesus people were insane.
Wow. I remember there were Jews for Jesus who had a meeting in our church like once a week. They were like, they rented out the hall to have a weekly meeting, and I remember thinking like, that's weird.
Yeah,
I don't know what's up with them.
All through my childhood, whenever Jews for Jesus was brought up by an adult, it was followed by "they are crazy."
Well, they're
we have a friend whose stepmom is Jews for Jesus, and I think it's pretty damning evidence that they might actually be crazy.
It's just like the deeper you get. This is like the iceberg meme. It's like where the more it's like the iceberg of like noise music, and like at the top it's like whatever, and at the bottom it's like the crazy artists you've never heard of.
Yeah.
The reason that Jews for Jesus people are crazy is because they and all of the other religions that Donald James Parker thinks are just neat are all the ones where you have to you're like being so picky about the way that you worship God that you end up doing some shit that's like you're just taking a little too far.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to be a Jews for Jesus. Just
be regular.
Just be regular, bro.
Just be normal.
Yeah.
What if you do need to, though?
Effect.
What if you do have to?
I mean, I don't know.
To keep your job in your home.
Well, yeah.
Because a man who gave you a job and a house.
Literally your neighbor, too. Super awkward.
Yeah.
Bullies fear him.
And the first 2 hours that you set foot in your new town, 2 children are threatening to kill your son.
Yeah, calling you Jew boy and
Jesus.
threatening to occupy your mouth.
Yeah, I spent about an hour last night reading about pogroms because somebody totally blew a Final Jeopardy question with the answer pogroms. Cost himself about $10K.
Donald James Parker would have never let that happen.
Yeah, it's also the reason. They're also the reason you got little old me right here in front of you is the pogroms. So who can say they were all that bad?
Right. Yeah,
otherwise, I'd be fucking screwing. Me and my best friend would be screwing light bulbs in Poland.
Well, yeah, I mean. But hey, I could have been getting my first submarine license by this point in my life.
You know what was funny?
Yeah.
Was they announced the uncle getting a job as the head of maintenance at the bar mitzvah.
That was really cool.
Very weird.
Your uncle has become the head janitor.
Yeah, because they also had that like fake out where Paul asked his dad if Rebecca's dad was going to get a job because I guess the entire fucking family is moving to South Dakota now.
They love South Dakota
from New York, and
now that they have these like staunch scruples, they decided let's not try to convert anyone in New York. We'll just move to the sticks and be on our way.
And and we'll all work for the same person and live in another house owned by him.
They're going to be digging tunnels soon. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They're getting into tunnel mindset right there. And by that, I mean, they're just all going to be in a collective where they keep psyching each other up to do more and more insane things, like full immersion baptism and speak in tongues and like do shit like that. So this is something that Paul's father tells him. Mr. Douglas tells his son, these are the Christian family again. He talks about the difficulties of missioning to Jewish people.
Yes.
And he says that something about Jewish people is that, I think this is almost a direct quote, Jews are good at turning everything into an intellectual search.
Yeah.
He says no Jew has actually asked God directly if they think Jesus is the Messiah, because for Jews, it's all about intellectualism.
Yes, and in one of the climactic arguments between Paul's dad and Abraham's dad, he also says, and this is treated like an own. He says, sometimes you Jewish people act like being Jewish is more important than finding God. Finding God, by the way, in this context means being Christian.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, yes, oftentimes Jewish people do act like being Jewish is more important than being Christian.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate.
It's very similar to how atheism is treated in a lot of the more like mainstream Christian movies, or any Christian movie, where it's like you definitely believe, like the idea. The whole argument is based off this agreed upon fact that Christianity is correct.
Yes.
And that, like, you all know it's correct. You're just doing what you're doing, being atheist or Jewish or Muslim a lot of times to spite Christians, because you know deep down that they're right.
And that's this film. The Jews have forbidden themselves from reading the New Testament. Mm-hmm. They've forbidden their children from playing with Christian kids. They're doing all this because they know at the end of the day that the Jewish heart yearns for Jesus.
Yeah. It's like you've said this before, Scott, about how atheists in these movies believe in God. They just hate God.
Yep.
Right.
So sad.
You can never have like a total absence of belief, or in this case, you can't have ever met an actual Jewish person in real life when you write a movie about a Jewish family.
Right. What a film. What did we think?
Seriously.
Boys? What is the official Boys Bible Study review of the Unexpected Bar Mitzvah?
I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 amazing Jews.
Wow.
We got the Christian film version of Rachel Sennett in our lead, who plays Mika.
Yeshua, baby.
I wrote down here that the relationship between Paul and Abraham felt like Christian Saltburn. And it is amazing that a 13-year-old can spend 5 hours Googling the Holocaust and not walk away thinking it didn't happen. That's probably the most unbelievable thing about this whole movie, is that a character researched the Holocaust on the internet and it walked away believing more that it happened.
Yes. Well, Julian, you really thought for yourself.
Yeah.
There.
That's why I'm an amazing Jew.
Mm-hmm. I've always said.
One of the 10.
He's one of the 10.
We got to find the other 9.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I haven't read the book. You could be one of them.
I did not see
true.
podcaster on the list.
I loved this. It makes me just want to dive deeper into Chip Rossetti and Donald James Parker, see what else they're up to. I'm sure it's nothing but great stuff. I loved how specific this movie got and passionate about what to many people might be tiny details that don't actually matter in the end.
Yeah.
Wrong. Thank you, Donald James Parker and Chip Rossetti. I have to give your movie 4 out of 4 bar mitzvahs. 4 out of 4 unexpected bar mitzvahs.
Ooh.
This movie was perfect.
Well, I've got to say, although the bar mitzvah was unexpected, your review made perfect sense to me. As for me, I absolutely love this movie. I think it was Donald James Parker at his most focused and effective, which seems insane to say from a film where so much happened and it got into the weeds of like a lot of very specific religious themes that I never expected. But what can I say? DJP is the GOAT, and I can't wait to watch more of his films, maybe even Pickleball Princess in the future. So I got to give this film $500 out of $500 a month rent for a South Dakota house. Oy vey.
What a deal.
What a deal and what a film. Thank you all out there for listening to us speak at length about the Unexpected Bar Mitzvah. If it's your first time here, go to boysbiblestudy.com to listen to all of our public episodes. And if you want even more content, patreon.com/boysbiblestudy is where you can subscribe to gain bonus content. That way you get new Boys Bible Study episodes every week. Shout outs to our patron saints, the ones who pledge at the $20 tier. We shout them out on every episode. Thank you, Nicole, Marissa, Mark, Jeff, and Rhett. You are real mensches, all of you.
And woman-inches.
And womenches? Is that the official term?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good to know. See, I'm learning about Jewish culture all the time. This is so exciting. Our outro music is "Oh My God" by Mary. From all of us here at Boys Bible Study, myself, Ash, my co-host, Scott, and Julian, we would like to say, peace be with you.
And also with you.
Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Thanks for listening. All
So
right.
remember when he read the entire New Testament and then passed out on the table? His wife thought he was dead.
When he and his wife, he was like, okay, quick, you read this book about the baptism of the Holy Spirit. I'll read the whole New Testament.
Yeah.
And then we meet in the middle. We don't have time to do this all. What an insane fucking movie. God damn it.
Awesome.
God damn it, Donald. God damn it.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I feel your love in me, it's coming from within. Oh my God, my devotion is so unwavering. Divine emotions when you enter me. Every day